Hey, everybody. Welcome to April 8th, 2025. Can you believe it's 2025? My name's Dave, and guess what? We have Steve Edwards calling into us right now from the road. Let's bring him on, the one, the only, Mr. Steve Edwards. Oh, he stepped away from the computer just for a second. All right, here we go. And then let's get Steve in here.
Let me get my.
And there he is. Hey, the Mule Man
Whoa!
is here.
Here we are.
All
Just leave
right.
it.
We're cutting it close there, but you made it happen.
Oh man, I tell you, it's said I had internet and all this, 5G and all this stuff. It's one of the reasons I wanted to come in the campground. Anyway, we got it done. We're here.
We got it done. You are here. Hey, it's been 2 weeks since we have been live. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't been good. We've had 2 incredible sessions, 2 masterclass back to back. The first masterclass was all about using the come along rope, and the second masterclass was all about refinement. Now, we pulled those down off of YouTube because we want to share those with the people who are logging into muleranch.com. So if you didn't get a chance to watch those, we've got those available for free, 100% free. I need to get my chime here. Where is my free? There we go. We've got them for free. So if you want those, just let us know and we'll get to you. Hey, Steve, it has been 2 weeks. Where are you guys right now?
Right now, we're just outside of Amarillo. Yep. Wind blowing. I mean, I've been driving with my steering wheel like this. It's just been crazy. Holding on to it with both hands. I can see semis kind of tilted like this because of the wind. We've got 45, 50 mile an hour winds. And I was going to try to go into Amarillo, but I said, man, I'm so tired. I got to quit driving. So we found this little spot here, and still it's still blowing 9-0. But anyway, we're in one spot. I've experienced this past 2 weeks tornadoes, having to stay in a shelter, torrential rains, floods. It's been a unique tour. Yes.
Yeah, so you and I talked after. So for folks who don't know or may just need us to jog their memory, we had been planning on getting Steve out to Alabama and then to Tennessee. It was 2 clinics back to back. We've been talking about it for a long time. And Steve, last week I said, "Hey, how did it go?" And it was the weather was the star, and it was not a good star at all. It seemed like it just kind of poured and made for a miserable experience, but you still got to be around some good people. It was tell us a little bit about what Alabama was like, or what made it redeemed a little bit, and then what was Shelbyville, or not Shelbyville, Columbia, Tennessee like?
Well, it was incredible. I would still do them both again. That Alabama was absolutely incredible. Seven Springs Rattlesnake restaurant was an incredible place to eat. It's back into a cave. It's really unique. And the owner of it, Danny, he is a character. Golly. So I had a chance to spend time with him. Everybody just treated me really special. It was great. I ate good food down at the they call it down in the bottoms. There's arenas and there's corrals and things like this. There's mules and horses. What a lot of people seem to do back east out here, because they don't have open land like we got in Arizona, you have to pay to camp, and then you hire a trail guide to take you out. And if you don't take a trail guide to take you out, you may not find your way back. Yeah, anyway, I met Tim, the trail guide, and that Tim, he is a mule riding rascal. He got hit by lightning, and they said that he had never walk or ride or anything like that again. And even though his right side is kind of gimpy and stuff, that guy still rides. Matter of fact, the one day I did a clinic, it was he'd rode 18 miles that day, and then I had his mule there for the clinic to talk about and to do things. And And I said, "You rode 18 miles," and I said, "Did you touch your saddle at all?" He said, "No, Steve. Your saddle is the first one I've ever had to stay in place." Now this guy rides hundreds of miles every year. It's incredible. Anyway, so had a good time there. Uh, it just it rained off and on, so it wasn't too bad. We was able to get some things done, and then we went over and spent a few days with Marty Gordon and and Lori, his wife, and man, that was great. He's got his own lake, and I was catching fish left and right. Matter of fact, I caught 10 bass in about an hour one time. It was great. Then we went from his place over to Columbia, and got all set up, and they had a really nice campground for me, and they had with electric and everything, and then they had me a little booth with corrals close and this sort of thing. So I was able to do about 3 clinics altogether, and then help a lot of people in between. And boy, it was a lot of fun, Dave.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad it's shaped up. I'm glad it wound up being still a fun time and shaped up there by the time you got up to Tennessee. And I'm glad that you got some time with Marty Ray too. That guy's a great guy, and I
Yeah,
know you appreciated the time with him, and I'm confident he
yeah,
appreciated the time with you as well. So thanks for the update. Before I get into saying hello to folks, I want to welcome you. If this is your first time ever joining with us, my name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards. He's the Mule Man. I'm the Mule Guy. Every week we get together to talk about mules and donkeys for 60 minutes. And this is, as far as I know, the only weekly live online clinic exclusively for mules and donkeys. So that means you're in a really, really great place if you like mules and donkeys and you want to talk about them, because that's all we do is talk about the mule and donkey here. There's 3 things that you need to know. Number 1, follow the lead of our friends in Facebook and YouTube chat already. Share your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. There is something about a name in this day and age where everybody can be anonymous if they want to and never have to leave their house. We say no. We say we want to know your name. We believe that you have value. We believe that friendship has value, and we believe that community is important. So we want to know your name. We want to say hello, and we hope that you can make some friends in this small little community we have. Number 2, ask any and every mule or donkey question that you got. No questions off limits. Your question, you might think, oh, they've probably answered this. Yeah, and we want to answer it again because we want to answer your question. You might think, oh, this is probably too elementary. And yeah, you know what? There are a lot of elementary questions, and that's how I got my start. Knowing everything that I know now, people watching today, that's how they got their start. One question leads to another, and there is no question we won't answer. And maybe you're having some problem with the saddle or the tack that you purchased. We want to help you. There's no question off limits. We want to make sure that you get the results you were expecting when you bought that mule, when you bought that donkey. So that's the second thing. Third thing is we ask that you share the broadcast with your friends and family. Let them know that you're spending a little bit of time talking about mules and donkeys, and invite them in. So I want to say hello to Sherman, watching from Norman, Oklahoma, 72 degrees. Dave O'Brien is watching from North Richland Hills, Texas, 73 and NICE. Nice. Visiting my 96-year-old aunt. She's doing great. We love hearing that, Dave. That's fantastic. Misty is watching. Judy and Misty are watching from Central Texas. Warm and sunny on the way to York Saddle Group. That's going to be a lot of fun. Good to have you here. Glad you're making it happen today. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, where it's 47 and sunny, riding tomorrow. That is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it, Polly. Susan is watching from Western Pennsylvania. Johnson says, driving motorhomes in the wind is not fun. It mentally and physically wears you out. Ain't that the truth? Just being on the road in and of itself will wear you out because you're constantly alert. Hopefully you're constantly alert. You're looking around, you're maintaining 10 and 2, you're focused, and then all of a sudden you have to think about trailers Going back and forth like this, yeah, that will wear you out. I agree, Johnson or Sherman. Judy is watching from Gazelle, California, with partly sunny, mostly cloudy, with cold wind. Linda is watching from 79 and sunny, Portal, Arizona. I'm going to say a beautiful Arizona. Steve, I don't know what it's going to be like when you get back into the state, but right now it's beautiful. Daniel says sunny and 91 in Mesa. It don't feel like 91, Daniel. It's been really, really nice. Jim is watching from a chilly Michigan where it's in the low 30s. The easy shoe glue on shoes worked great. So we talked about that a few weeks ago. All your tack and saddles were awesome. My mules I got from Jimmy didn't miss a beat. Awesome ride in Shawnee National. How fun is that to hear about, Steve?
Yeah, that's a good deal because he was going kind of around the down a wrong path, and he's doing really good now. That's fantastic.
Love hearing that. Thank you, Jim. Sharon says, I need to order a saddle and tack, but I need help. Sharon, send me a message and I will help you out. I'll make sure you get what you need. Robert says, I have a mule that is very hard to catch. Help. So, Robert, I'm going to ask first and foremost, is the mule in quarters in his own stall, or is the mule out to pasture? Answer that question for us because that's going to determine the answer that you get. We'll go to Susan's question, then we'll come back to yours, Robert. Susan says, have you ever had a mule tear a tendon and it did not recover, and did it recover enough to ride? Have you ever had a mule tear a tendon? And if so, did it ever recover enough to ride again?
Yeah, it's called a bow tendon, and it depends on the severity of it, of course, and it also depends on if it's a high bow. Now, let's just look at this. Let's say this is the tendon here. Okay, here's the back of the leg here. So this is the knee up here. You can have a high bow, a middle bow, and a low bow. Okay, I guess you can't really see my fingers right there. There we go. So, uh, looking at this, high bow, middle bow, low bow. Okay, and is it real puffy right now? And where is the the puffiness on that tendon? Okay, and then I'm going to give you a way to try to fix it, and also have you talked to your vet about it.
All right, so we'll wait to hear back from Susan, and we're going to go back to Robert. He says, I have a mule that's very hard to catch, and he's turned out. So if he's turned out at pasture, Steve, let me know what you would add to this. If he's turned out in pasture, the first and foremost thing is, of course, he's hard to catch because he don't need you. He's out there with all the food, all the space. Maybe you have some other equine out there or some goats or whatever. He's got all his buddies out there. He doesn't need you. So, of course, he's going to be hard to catch. So, what we say, first and foremost, get him in a 10 by 20 stall where he is 100% dependent upon you. Now, he still may play hard to catch, but it's going to be easier to work on your timing. It's going to be easier to work on your ground foundation and make him easier to catch when he's in a stall. But if he is out hard to catch, I know, Steve, we are not one for treats. Occasionally, we'll use a treat when one is hard to catch. And that's really the only time I've ever heard you talk about it. And in terms of catching one that's really hard to catch out at pasture, I've heard you talk about building kind of them into a little quarters of themselves, kind of like backing them in so that you can then catch them and put them in their quarters. So if he's out at pasture, would you use a treat maybe to help catch him? And is the only way to kind of maybe take some temporary walls or dividers to kind of trap him in? Is there anything else that he might be able to do?
No, that's basically it, Dave. Here's the thing. What we have to remember. You got him in a big pasture, and and and, and yes, he's going to be hard to catch. Now, let's say we're out riding, and we get out riding, and we get off, and the mule gets away from us. He's going to be hard to catch too. All right. So you have to think about this uh, to the point that okay, I get off my mule. I went to tie him up. He pulled away from me and got away from me. And now I'm going to spend hours, if not days, catching my mule with the fully saddled. So another good reason to keep them in a small stall. The number one reason is their health. And Dave, you hit the nail right on the button. Okay. How are we going to catch them? Well, we most likely going to have to build a little pen, going to have to start feeding him in the pen and get to where you can close the gate to catch him. So number one, I never, ever, ever put my mules out in pastures. Don't need to. Uh, when they're in a corral, um, you number one want to think about this. When they're in the corral, I can see their poop. I know what the road apples look like. I know what their water intake looks like, and I can keep better track of my mule with his weight and his feet. So anyway, that's some general ideas, but you hit it right on the head there, mule guy.
So he followed up and he said that the mule will let you get close to him. He just won't let you touch him. So I think you've got a different problem there. And here's what I would do, Steve. If I was out there, if I didn't have you here to ask a question, what I would do is I would go with what I've heard you say in the past. If he won't let me touch him, then I would get the come along rope and I would take that come along rope because he's going to see that as an extension of me. Now, I'm not going to get as close, but I can take that come along rope and I can throw it over his back. I can take that come along rope and I can run it along his side. I can take that come along rope and I can touch him without getting close to the point where he's not going to let me touch him. And I can let that be an extension of me. And then I can, at that point, would I just kind of like make sure that he's not going to walk off and slowly get closer and then try and put the come along rope on him as he gets more and more comfortable with me touching him through the come along rope?
Yep, yep, very good. A good example was just at Marty Ray's, and he had one particular mule he wanted to catch, and he's saying, "Come on!" All the mules kind of headed over that way toward him, and come on, all the mules kind of headed over the way toward him, and the one mule that he really wanted to catch was right there. And the one thing that I saw Marty Ray do is he dropped his halter and lead rope right there at the gate. And you know why? Because when those mules see a halter and lead rope, they're running off. So Marty Ray took his belt off, used his belt around the mule's neck to catch him, and brought him on in. But they were not about to be caught and gone in. Here's what happens: we tend to chum them in with, like you said, with the treat, or we take a bucket of grain and we shake it. Well, again, the problem is this: those you get out there on the side of a mountain, and the mule gets away from you. Now what? Anyway, Marty's building all new stalls and stuff, and he's getting his barn squared away. But you hit a lot of good notes there, mule guy. Just right.
I hope that's helpful, Robert. Report back to us. Let us know if any of that worked for you. If you found something that wound up working for you that we didn't mention, because I'm always anxious to learn as well and hear
Yeah.
what other folks might be doing. But there you go. There's a couple things you can try. Susan came back and said, talking about the tendon middle. Working with the vet since the 21st of January, still on stall rest except for a 15-minute walk twice a day. She appears to walk sound, but probably at least 2 more months of stall rest.
Yeah. Yeah, a middle bow is the second worst one to do anything with. The toughest one is the one at the bottom at the pastern. Is Here's the other question: Are are you wrapping it and using and building up a polis with it? And are you using any banamine or bute to help reduce the swelling?
All right, solving it one question at a time there. Susan, let us know. We'll get you the answer as best we can. I want to say hello to Marcia watching from Virginia. She says it's cold and windy, but it's sunny. So all good, I guess, in Virginia. Jerry, St. Mary's, Ohio, chilly and windy. Brr. Steve, will you be going to the Mule and Bluegrass Festival in Tennessee this coming late summer? I know you talked about it, but I know that a decision had not been made yet as to whether or not that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm definitely talking about it. I've got a couple other things coming up. that in that same time frame. So there is a possibility. I really enjoy going there. Last year, we got stormed out really bad. And speaking of that, the parade this year was led by the pack mules that was in Georgia, I think it was, and going in and packing food and stuff to people back in the mountains. And they come up and wanted to meet me and shook my hand and this sort of thing. And I told them, "Good job, good for you." But yeah, that's what I would do, Dave.
Awesome. Tim is watching from Montana, 60 degrees,
I missed it.
30-mile-per-hour wind. Did you send that wind down to Steve coming across the southern interstate there? Oh my goodness, 30-mile-per-hour wind. Stay safe. Bigfoot Llamas says, any suggestion for a braying mule? Brays a lot at night and a little less in the day. Has mule friends. Took to the vet this morning. Everything checked out fine. If I remember, Steve, I remember you saying that's just the way it's gonna be. Like that, they just talk a lot. They're mouthy. Some don't. You've got one that does, and there's not a whole lot that you can do. Is there anything that you can do, or is it like you were just blessed with a singer?
Yeah, yeah. Just call him Elvis, and you're good. Not a thing you can do. You just happen to have a mule that likes to talk.
Will they be more mouthy when they're if one likes to talk? Would he might be more mouthy around other animals, or hey, he's just going to talk and doesn't matter who's around?
Well, it's usually when they're missing someone, like when we go out and we're working cows, and we get separated, and then one will call the other, "Hey, George, where are you? I'm over here, and I'm concerned and scared. I got this predator on my back." And no, when they usually are talking, it's when they have a particular buddy that they want to be with. "Hey, George, you over here?"
All right. Thanks so much. Sorry I don't have more for you there, Bigfoot, but yeah, you got Elvis, so may as well enjoy, I guess. Jim says,
Ellis from
Steve,
you.
when riding your mule in very challenging terrain, if your mule wants to go a little different way on the trail than maybe a horse in front of you, do you just give him his head and let him? And so my first thought when I saw this, Steve, is the number one thing the mule wants to do when you're out there riding, he don't want to die. Like a horse will just jump off the side of a cliff because the other buddies were doing it, but a mule's going to stop and ask questions. So my first instinct is if he's looking at something different, he probably sees something different, but I don't know if that's the right answer. But that sounds like what we've talked about before. What would you say to Jim?
Yeah, hey, you hit it right on the head there, mule guy. You betcha. Definitely, I would let him go. Unless I think I'm going to be in harm's way. But they usually can pick out far better ways than I do. They usually pick out far better ways than a horse does. I tell you that for sure. But I can also tell you how well it is when I'm coming back out of mountains and it's pitch black and I can't hardly see my hand in front of my uh, face. How my mule can pick his way through and take me back to camp.
Awesome. Thanks for the message. Let's see here. Um, Kenny says, "Hey guys, from Patton, Missouri, 52 degrees, and really enjoyed meeting you, Steve, at Mule Days." Hey, you and Kenny got to meet. Hey, that's awesome. Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate that. Did you met Kenny? Were there a few other folks who chime in on our Tuesday calls?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I met quite a few folks. I sent you a picture, actually a short little video of Paul Waken. He actually drove up from Florida and come up and he's also an ex-marine. And I said, "Where are you sleeping tonight, Paul?" He said, "I'm sleeping in my Mustang." I said, "You're sleeping in your Mustang?" I said, "And there a better place you can be?" He said, "I'm a Marine. Wherever I get sleep, I'll get sleep."
That's good.
he,
All right. Very good. Love hearing that.
he
So
was
you
great.
met a few folks then?
Yep. Yeah, sure did. I wish I'd have gotten pictures of everybody. I
Well, you
meant to
don't have
send
to
you the
have a
picture.
picture of that video. I got that video you sent. You want me to play that here real quick?
Yeah, if you got a minute, we can just
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
that
Let me
out
play
there.
that video. I may have to turn your camera on here. Here we go.
This is
Okay.
Steve Edwards' come-along rope that he uses on mules. This is my sweetheart's
Can you
2-year-old.
hear that, Steve? It's
Never
Yep.
real.
had it on
Okay.
before. First time, had the come-along rope on. Her cousin that's walking around here had it on, did well with it also. Not only does this work on the mules, but it works on the horses if you're smart and go slow. Do what you want with this, Steve.
Yeah, there's Paul.
Oh, whoa.
There's two of me.
Seeing double
Hey, you
now.
got better looking. You got better looking.
All right. I don't know what happened there. Let's see. Cam link. Nope, that's not the right one. Here we go. Boom. There we go. All right. That's pretty cool. That was fun to get from
Yeah.
him. Anything else you want to add to it?
No, I mean it was great. He's training his own mules. He happens to have one of my top apprentices over there, Susan Sonnenberg, is just right down the road from him, and she's been giving him some tips and stuff. But he said, I just really want to do it myself, and that's really what we're trying to get across, right, Mule Guy? That people need to be doing this stuff themselves.
Yeah, so just a little bit of history on that, and so many of you have already heard this, and you can attest to it. But uh, I don't know, just under 10 years ago, Steve had spent nearly every summer traveling the country, going to expos and clinics and events and this sort of thing all over the nation. And summer came where he wasn't going to be able to go because he had some medical things come up and the recovery was going to interfere with the summer schedule. And so what wound up happening is we wound up doing a lot more calls over the phone, and we wound up starting up this program to where folks were sending in their questions and we were answering them just on the video like this right here. And we kind of discovered, which Steve already kind of knew this, but we kind of discovered, like, man, folks are really, really capable if they just know the direction to go. And folks are really, really capable if they just have a place to go to get an answer. And so we've been giving them the direction to go and then answering the questions as they come up. And the results are just incredible. Folks are sending in
Yeah.
pictures every single week of how their mule wasn't allowing them to, touch them. And now the mule allows them to put on the come along rope with no problem whatsoever. And they're able to do ground foundation training. Their
Yep.
mule was hard to catch. And now their mule walks right up to them. Their mule was, you know, doing some crazy behavior, and now their mule stands still, straight, nose up, frames himself up real good, and is a dream machine. So it's been real cool to see that. And yeah, the goal that we want is for
Yeah.
folks to be able to do this themselves, and y'all are doing it. It's real encouraging, and we love seeing it. Let's see here. Alinda is watching. Cowboy Ken is watching. 35 degrees, sunny but windy. Concrete Warrior says, at what age should you float your mule's teeth?
Well, everybody's got a different thought. My thing is can you feel them? How about the points on it? Sometimes you can feel through the jaw, and you can feel the teeth and see if there's a point in it. My favorite way is to reach in, get the tongue, bring it out, give it a twist, hold on to it, and feel the points. But usually, 3 years old, I'm starting to run a file on them a little bit and starting to shape them. I can also tell you that you can watch your mule and your donkey as well. And if they're starting to drop feed out their mouth, then that means that the points are starting to catch the side of the mouth or the tongue.
All right, there you go. Thanks so much. And if you got any follow ups, let us know. You might have said it there. I was looking at the next question, but you want to float your mule's teeth every year, then, right? Like you get started, and then thereafter
Yep.
you want to float every year. What if the vet says, oh, you don't need to?
Well, I would question the vet. I would ask him to run his hand in the mule's mouth and feel the points. and make for sure, or you can put a spectrum in and open up the mouth, But I really I would argue with the vet myself. I simply know that if they're able to chew their food correctly, and the points aren't hitting them in the side of their jaws and this sort of thing, then that's one thing. But how are you going to know unless you're watching them all the time? And that's one of the good things, there, Mule Guy, about the mules being in a stall. You can watch them feeding. You can watch and see that they're not slobbering feed out and see if there's a problem. But every year, I don't care what the vet says, I get it done every year.
Awesome. Thanks for the question. David Pingelli, beautiful day here in Manchester, Georgia. 60s and a big ride tomorrow on my new mule. That's going to be a lot of fun. What did he want? He had a problem mule there for a bit, and did he wind up getting that mule in control, or did he swap him out? I can't remember.
He swapped him out. He sent him back. Yeah, and Dave, like Dave said, oh my goodness, it was a dog and pony show. Everything looked good. The mule would jump on the back of a pickup truck. There was a little girl rode the mule, all the usual dog and pony stuff. And Dave, he kind of felt bad for the guy in some ways, but anyway, Dave's paying the price now with his wife. Huh, Dave?
Barbara's watching from Sullivan, Missouri. Sunny and nice. Had a first ride today. My mule was so relaxed while getting her hooves done. She was taking a nap in the warm. Don't say that. That's gonna make me start to yawn here. Taking a nap there. Them sleeping words. That's good to hear. Thanks, Barbara. Susan says I started with Butte 2 times a day. Vet said to decrease to once a day starting a week ago. Also discontinued wrapping at the same time per vet. Has been ultrasound twice. Last time a week ago. So is this still a follow up with the
The
tendons,
bow
right?
tendon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, okay. So it sounds like you're on the mend. Um, I. It sounds like that vet did the best he could, especially with it when you have a middle bow. A middle bow takes more time than anything, and it's easy to do. It's You can have your mule shod, you can have them unshod, and you can be in mud and they slip, and you can bow a tendon that way. So anyway, I'm glad she's on the mend. Good for you.
Awesome. Thanks for the report there. Following up there, Susan. Appreciate it. Vanessa, hey, good to have you here, Vanessa. Getting here late, 60 degrees and sunny in Montana or Missouri. Looking for any help on my Maisie mule now that hates being caught and gets to kicking when you try to catch her now. She hates being caught, gets to kicking when you try to catch her now. Vanessa, do you have her in her own stall, or is she out at pasture? We talked a little bit earlier in the program. You can go back and watch, but I'll just give you the short of it. If she's out at pasture, we're going to say put her into her own stall where you can be the herd leader, you can be in control, you can monitor, you can lead, you can be the one that Maisie is dependent upon for everything. So that's the first thing. If she's out at pasture and you want to make that move and you're trying to catch her, occasionally you can use a treat. You could shake a bag of grain. That's something else that you can do, kind of get them to come over to you, or you can kind of pen them in. You can do a temporary pen, kind of back them in, and then catch them that way so you can move them to their quarter. Now, if you have her in her own stall and she's hard to catch, and quite frankly on both, you can take the come along rope and you can begin using that as an extension of yourself. You can take that come along rope, throw it over Maisie's back so she feels you, even though it's the come along rope, she sees it as you, feels you touching her back. There's nothing to worry about. You can run it up along the side. And then as she gets comfortable and as you're able, you can then try and put the come along rope on over her head. And then from there, you can start working on ground foundation training. And it's going to be a lot to do with your timing. You want her to know standing here straight, not going this way or that way, not walking away. That's where you're going to be the most comfortable. So if she's fighting you on stuff, you want to make her uncomfortable. And then when she stands straight and just looks at you, let her be comfortable. And that's what you want to work on And that should help you catch her over the time being. So let me know if you got any follow-up questions. Judy is watching. I would like to understand the proper positioning of my body from the ground and the placement of my hands with a come-along rope when asking a mule to turn on the haunches going away from me. Is this where we take the come-along rope, kind of wrap it around the side, and then pull it and the haunches swing around? Is that what we're talking about here, Steve?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'll see if I can find a video if you want to go ahead and start talking to Judy.
Well, actually, the video would be the problem mule building new foundation, and that's where I try to share with folks that you really you don't want to just get the come along. You want to make sure you get the video. The kit is the best thing to do because the video shows you the ABCs how to do it. And we've got a video on tying the rope halter, should be right there with the rope halters. And we got the ground communication kit. But that problem meal build new foundation, Dave, is the one she needs. We
Okay.
have a lot of others too, but that
Yeah,
one.
we got a lot of others, but he's saying problem mule, and that's what we want. So I'll put a link in the comment section here in a second, Judy. And if you already got it, take a watch at it. And then if you got any follow-up questions, be sure and let me know. But that's going to show you exactly what you need to know. Hey, here we go. International. Thank you so much for taking us international. David Scholl watching. Good morning from bright and sunny Queensland. Weaned the last of my mule foals. He's got quite the operation down there, Steve, don't
Yeah.
he?
Oh yeah, yeah. I tell you what, Dave and Di have just absolutely done wonders, and taken from zero knowledge of mules, and over this past it's 5 to 7 years, they're now the number one mule dealer in Australia. And Dave's got a lot of knowledge. He came over here and trained with me, and took him down to the ranch in Andrada, and we trained down there, and him and Di have just done a great job. Congratulations, Dave and Di.
It's awesome. We love hearing it. Tana sent in a message, Steve. This is more about saddle fitting, but I thought we hadn't really talked about the saddle, like getting everything to fit the mule properly. We haven't talked about that in a while, so I wanted to bring it up. Tana says, I have a pony mule. She's 13-1 or so. I've struggled with proper fitted tack for years now. Since she got a horse-sized head, compact body, and is overall small. Breast collars are always way too big for her, and saddles I try go too far back and put too much weight on vital organs. I've had my eye on the Trail Light saddle and Beta series for the breech and collar. I want to make sure everything I get will be a proper fit for her. It's a good investment, and I want to make sure I get it right. Let me know what you think. Would you just give a brief overview here to address Tana's concerns, and maybe even speak to why maybe the Trail Light saddle is going to be a different experience when it comes to moving too far back, putting too much weight on vital organs than maybe some of the things she's experienced in the past?
Yeah, and you're exactly right, Dave. I would suggest, Dave, that we point her toward the uh, saddle fit video series that we have called Mastering the Saddle Fit. And there she would see my 13-2 pony mule, which is now up in Washington, retiring, really nice. She would see me also fit it all the way up to a 17-hand Percheron mule. And the one thing that I'm sure you would start sharing with people, Dave, is that when you are looking at saddles, there are only two saddles out there. Even though you've got a lot of brand names, brand makers and stuff, there are only two saddles: semi-quarter horse, a narrower saddle; full quarter horse, a wider saddle. Okay, so it doesn't make any difference what brand it is. That's the trees they use. Now, even though they call it a mule saddle, Dave, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that told me this week, of course, that they had a mule saddle with mule bars, but yet the mule was shaking his head going downhill. And then they showed me pictures. The mule had billets on it rather than tie straps. They were using horse breast collars. tied into it, and I showed him how to, what not to do. But I think, Dave, for this lady, uh, it's best that she goes over there and watches. She'll see my little 13-2 pony mule, and she'll see me fitting the trees on all of them.
All right, folks. So here in the comment section is the Mule Saddle Training Course. It's absolutely free, so you heard it. Free, and it will walk you through it is so comprehensive. There's 13 videos there. Everything is, it's not just comprehensive and a lot of material, but it's engaging and it's fun to watch. And so I would encourage you to go sign up, get that video course, go through it. If you've been riding for a long time, I would even say it's a great watch for you, because there's going to be some small details that maybe you've heard us talk about, or you've seen some pictures that we've posted online, and now you're going to watch the video of Steve actually showing you these refinement details that it's just going to be hard to get just listening to us talk or seeing from a picture. So go check that out. It's free, and I think you'll be real happy with it. So great question. Let's see. Next question here. This one is, I didn't know the answer to this. What is a donkey worth? Let me share with you the picture here. All right. Oh, we got to get Steve. I got to get the camera all fixed up here. Let me get Steve's camera fixed up. Hey, there he is. Okay. So here's the picture right here. My spotted Jenny just had her first foal. I am considering the idea of selling him whenever he is weaned, and was curious on what would be a fair price to ask. He would sell as a jack or can be gelded prior to sell. He is standard and would be halter broke, load in a trailer, bathed and trained for the farrier. So what would you say here to how much is a donkey worth, Steve?
You know, it's crazy the prices of donkeys right now. I was just talking with Lori, uh, and that's Marty Ray's wife, Lori Gordon, and she just bought several donkeys, and the donkey that she purchased, that is the best of all of them, uh, showed in Western Pleasure, won all kinds of classes, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, all the good stuff. The donkey really knew what to do, and this was a riding donkey. She spent $8,000 for it. Now, I can tell you that one of the downsides of this baby that you have is he's white. And will he change out? It's not like if he was gray and then he turns into white. He's white already off the bat. So a couple things to look at. Does he have pink underneath his tail? Does he have pink around his eyes? Because here's the problem. White animals, equine, have problems with cancer when it comes down to their eyes and underneath their tail. So number one thing, I always keep fly mask on my mules and donkeys, always. And so that'll help you out. So I would say, it's going to depend on how good of a background the donkey has. In other words, was his dad? You say he's a standard. Is his dad a jack that has won a lot of awards? Because when you're looking at selling one, if they have been judged by in shows and this sort of thing, that'll give you an idea on what kind of confirmation that your donkey has. I can tell you that I know of people that are selling them for some pretty big money, but there again, they have a background of being a top jack or a top mule.
All right. Might even be an opportunity to pair up. Hey, David Scholl, if you're interested in talking talking with our friend here, send me a message and let me know, and maybe I can make a connection there. But I thought that was a great question, one that I don't think we've had folks ask, how much should I spend? But I don't think we've had someone say, I've got one that I want to sell. How much should I sell? So I thought that was pretty good there. Okay, let's hop into this one. This one came from Colt. Says, I'm new to donkeys. I'm getting a 6 or 7 year old standard intact Jack donkey on Thursday from someone near me who is looking to rehome him. He's been very gentle and good with people and other animals, but I know that intact Jacks can become aggressive after talking to my vet. We agreed that neutering him is the safest option for everyone, so he'll be neutered on May 1st. Does anyone have any experience with getting Jacks neutered later in life? How long does it take for their hormones to settle afterwards? Will he also be a good companion at some point? How long will it be until I can safely introduce him to another donkey, a gelding or a jenny? Any advice is greatly appreciated.
Okay, so that's the greatest thing in the world is to give that donkey, uh, give that donkey brain surgery. I call it. Now, here's the thing: I've never seen no two donkeys or mules uh, make a lot of changes when you've castrated them. Sometimes, if they're gentle from the get go, that's nice. But the problem is with a Jack, he's only got one thing on his mind when it comes down to, especially in the spring, and that's to breed. So it's awful hard to say to you, it's going to be 5 months before he changes. I would say to you, while he has been gelded at that split second, he needs to be moving around. So I would put my come along hitch on him, and I would start doing some halter training with him. I would build a foundation, and I would start doing that immediately. And because you see, that donkey needs to move while he's healing. Okay, so that's and then as far as putting them together, I don't like putting them together. I've got friends right now that have had to put their horses down because they got kicked by another one. I've got a friend of mine right now that Jason is his name, and he lives there in Tennessee, and he had a big bulge on his mare's, one of his best mare's leg, and so the doctor looked at it, and vet said, no, it's not cancer or anything like that. Well, he kind of thought maybe that he most likely was kicked, and that's what's happened. So, folks, when you go putting them out there all together, especially when it comes down to feeding time, that's the best time that you're going to have to start creating vet bills. And I can tell you that, like Jason told me, he already spent $1,000 to have this vet come out, and the vet didn't have an X-ray machine. So I would, again, another good reason, put them all in separate stalls, feed them separate. When it comes to your buddy, okay, will he get along with other animals? They always are going to have a pecking order, always. So you never know when one could be aggressive. It could be the Jack. Some of the hormones may still be moving around in there, and it could be a problem there as well.
Yeah, they're always establishing a pecking order. That's why we say, even if it's just one, he's trying to establish his pecking order that he is above you, which is why you put him into a stall where you assert yourself as that herd leader, and all of a sudden he becomes subservient to you for everything he needs. Great question there, Colt. Thanks so much for it, and glad we could get that answered for you. I want to hop back over here and say hello to Dave O'Brien. Says, I had a vet that floated the teeth every year. Then I moved, and my new vet said that for the last 7 years it was not needed. The reason was when you feed them on the ground, it naturally floats their teeth. So that's what Dave O'Brien had shared there. Let's see here. Vanessa says, Vanessa's following up with her comment regarding, hard to catch, right? Hard to catch. She's very big on cornering and putting her butt towards me with no bulge but to kick out, or no budge but to kick out. Once she's caught, she behaves fairly well. we're still working on the rope on walking manners. So doesn't say there if she's in individual quarters, but if that's the case, Steve, and it becomes dangerous there, is it about tossing that come along rope from far away, or is there something else you would do?
No, you hit it right on the head there, Mule Guy. That's exactly what I would start doing, is things like that, because you don't want them to turn their butts to you. You always want to face them. When you approach an equine, you approach at the shoulder. The nose says, go away from me. That's why most of these animals are hard to catch. And the tail says, move. So always approach at the shoulder.
So if one's got their butt towards you, would you just start going, ha, 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 and start yelling at them and making them uncomfortable and like shuffling and like causing a stir and getting them to be like, what is going on, and turn around and look at you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Make them uncomfortable. If this was another horse, that other horse would attack him. Matter of fact, he'd turn his butt around and they'd both be kicking each other with their hind legs at the same time.
All right. There you go there, Vanessa. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more context there. She follows up and says, excuse me, she's in a fairly small dry lot, no big pasture for her. So good job there. And hopefully this will give you some more tools that you can use. Judy says, I was talking about asking the mule to go away from the face when I want the mule to turn on the haunches. Oh, this was the haunches. Just leaving her back feet planted or relatively still. She knows the other thing about following the rope around her butt. Do you get what she's saying there, Steve?
Okay, so what you're going to have to do is, she wants to turn on the hindquarters. So you're going to move your hand. Here is the side of your mule where your leg is. You want to have the hindquarters stay in place while the front end moves around. So you're going to move your hand from where your leg would be in riding, and you're going to move it just 4 inches forward. That's all. And make sure it's down where your calf is going to be. All right? Put the pressure there. Use your come along at the same time as you're asking the mule to step back a step. You use your hand, and then that would turn on the hindquarters.
Great, thank you. I got a question here. This one comes in from Ray. I was wondering what your personal choice of horse breed of mule to ride pack in the mountains with. I know the quarter horse has the disadvantages of usually having a downhill hip. I'm planning on breeding a mammoth donkey to a horse, so was curious on what would be your advice.
Well, my favorite horse is disposition, period. It makes no difference what breed. You can have a really good breed and have a really sorry horse. So, your number one thing is breed disposition, both with the jack and with the mare.
Yeah, you can't train disposition there.
Yep.
Or confirmation.
Confirmation is the second part.
Oh, disposition first, confirmation second, foundation third.
That's right. There you are.
Awesome. See? That's why we got Steve here. Make sure that he's correcting us so we don't get it out of order.
Hey, Dave, you sound like me today mirroring. I mean, I was sitting back going, whoa, listen to that. He's getting it,
Not gonna lie. I did take a peek at some of the questions ahead of time and gave it a little bit of a consideration there, but I don't have, a lifetime of knowledge like you do. So I'm doing the best I can, but makes me feel pretty good there. Okay. Judith is watching from Grand Rapids, Michigan, only 35 degrees. Sounds like she's selling us on Grand Rapids. Ladies and gentlemen, Grand Rapids, Michigan, only 35 degrees. Come on up and enjoy pure Michigan. Jim is watching from Western Maryland, 33 degrees, right cool, says. Tony is watching. Hi there. Hi there, Tony. Marcia says, I'll bet he's silly, a silly little white donkey. He could pose as the Easter Bunny. Yeah, no joke. That's pretty good. Tony has a question. Are white mules more rare than like a sorrel? What is a sorrel?
Sorrel is a reddish color mule or donkey. Okay, they're reddish. They're probably more prevalent color than any one color that there is. White is not a real prevalent color. Okay, and white was usually ridden by da 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 kings and generals. You always knew who was a general when he was sitting on a big white stallion. Yeah, and that's like David and all of his boys in the Bible. There, you know, they all jumped on their asses and rode off. What the Bible said.
All right. For the next 4 minutes, folks, Steve Edwards. Let's see here. Eric and Ethel are watching from Indiana. Good to have you guys here. Jerry is here. Dave and Steve. Jerry from Indiana. Weather cool today, but getting warmer this weekend. Been a while since getting to see you live, but enjoy watching the broadcast later. Thanks for all the information. You got it, Jerry. It's good to hear from you. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Hi, Dave and Steve. I have a question. Do come-alongs work on horses? Absolutely, right, Steve?
Yeah, horses, camels, cattle. But the only thing it won't work on is a pig.
There we go. I have too much fun with that. Okay, Steve, next question. I actually think we answered this, but I could not find the live stream where we answered this, and so I want to get the answer again. The question is, what is a finished bit?
Okay, a finished bit is it has a port in the middle. Some call it a Mona Lisa mouthpiece, but it's a port, and that port whisks the roof of the mouth. It's a very light touch. Now, it also needs to have sweet iron where the bars are right after the port. So you have the port, and then you have the bars and that sweet iron there, and then the joint. There's a joint on the shanks, which you want because a stiff bit on a mule makes him really uncomfortable, and a donkey. So, and my bit actually pivots on 4 points on the shank, at the port in the middle, on each side, and on the other side as well. So actually, it actually swivels on 4 points for there. So that's, and the idea is on a finished bit is that you're riding 80% on your legs, 20% on your hands.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for answering that again. Tony says, thank you. Edna is watching from Spring Hill, Florida, 70 and warm. Marcia says, we had a famous white mule around here in the town parades. The kids just loved him. His name was, get this, Steve, Cue Ball. How fun is that?
Cue Ball.
I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I got another question. Let's see if we can do one more here. I think we got, this one comes from Zath. 75 and sunny in Oklahoma. I have been using the come-along hitch for turning on the front and on the rear while doing groundwork. I'm having trouble making this happen while riding. Any advice? If we don't have enough time today, I'll make sure to jump on next week. I think that's a really intelligent question, Steve. And do we have time to answer it today? I know y'all are on the road. Can we get that one?
Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, so now, number one, we want a snaffle bit. Okay, a snaffle bit communicates directly from the corner of the mouth, the direction you want to go, and it has tongue communication, and it has bar communication. So when you say you want to go to the right, then that pivot goes on the bars of the mouth and will be like a violin bow on the violin. Now, you have to have the mule. See, he wanted turn on the forward hand or turn on the hind quarter.
Let's see. I've been using it for turning on the forehand and the rear while doing groundwork.
Okay, so let's just take the easy one, the turn on the hindquarters. So with your hands, you want to bump the mule where he's going to back up. And I was talking about this. You can do this on the ground as well. Okay, so you have him back up, and as he's backing up, you want to move your leg forward 4 inches. Okay, so here's your leg on the side of the mule, and you want to move it ahead 4 inches, and use your calf to ask, side of your stirrup to tail, spur to demand. And by doing that, that puts pressure on the front end of your mule, and the mule turns. And that's really imperative that you make sure you back them up to do that. So your hands are going to go direction, impulsion to go have the front end go over and the back end stay in place. Now, your back end, when you want your back end to come around, you are now going to, your front end, to have your front end come around. Now I got that wrong again. Oh, okay. So turn on the forehand where the front end stays in place and the back end comes around. So now you're going to have your side, that's your middle leg, and you're going to put your leg back here in the back, and that's going to put pressure on the hindquarters, and it's going to make it uncomfortable. And your hands, you want to take and pull the opposite. So if you're going to go to the right with your hind end, you pull the left with your left hand towards you, just slightly, about 4 inches. Use your leg back there, and then you turn on the forehand.
Awesome. Thanks, Zath. Let's see here. Zath says that using a twisted wire snaffle bit.
Perfect. Okay. Double twisted wire.
Says
We
twisted
want to make
wire.
sure of
Is there a
that.
difference
Yeah.
between double and single?
Oh, night and day.
Okay.
Using a single, it captures the tongue in one spot. My double twisted wire snaffle bit, it goes in two and captures the full tongue. So that it's a lot easier on the mule when you're using a double twisted wire compared to a single.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Thanks, Zath. One final question following up on the bit. Tony says, is sweet iron the key there?
Yes, you want sweet iron. The idea is to have moisture in the mouth for like the lubrication. When you use copper, that tends to create some almost like a static electricity. Okay, and sometimes we'll get the mule to gap his mouth a lot, and in some cases we'll make him over saliva. So I would definitely use sweet iron as the way to go. Now you've got to remember, there's a major difference between, which we can see on my website, looking at my finished bit. Look at my finished bit and look at the horse bit next to it. You will see that my bit comes up off of the flat spot. The horse bit lays flat. So what that does is it makes the bit go back in the roof of the mouth farther to keep from putting pressure on the mule with the horse bit. So look at those pictures. That'd be a good one to put her to, Dave, where she can see the pictures of my bit is a finished bit compared to the horse bit, because they look similar. They look the same. But when you put the two together, you can definitely see the difference. There you are. There you are. So obviously mine is there on the left. You can see how it comes up off of the flat ground. And look at the one on the right. Good picture, Dave. Real good picture. You see the one on the right is the horse bit, and you see it laying flat. So you see it's going to be laying in the mule's mouth different.
Awesome. That's it. Thanks so much, folks, for hanging out with us. Steve, thanks for pulling off to the side of the road and joining us. I'm glad the internet cooperated because this was a lot of fun. I actually can't believe how fast the time has gone by. I hope you all enjoyed. I certainly did. And it'll be good to have a incredible show next Tuesday. But guess what? We've got a double dose of awesomeness in mules and donkeys, because next Wednesday we're doing our next program, free clinic. You heard it right here. Free clinic. We're talking about spring clean. We're going to talk about getting everything in order to make sure that you have a fruitful and fun summer riding. But there's some things you need to do right now in the spring to make sure that happens. So I'm going to put a link in the comment section. Y'all can sign up. It's going to be absolutely free. It's 5 o'clock Pacific, so that'll make it 6 o'clock Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and it is the Spring Clean and Repair Clinic. And link in the comment section. You can sign up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tuesday we'll do our normal program, and then Wednesday we'll have this clinic. Steve, any last words before we get done today?
No, you did good. Hey, I watched those 2 little webinars. Not webinars, but when we couldn't get together, did a great job of putting that together. I mean, you can see the steps, and everybody should have really enjoyed those 2. That was terrific. Makes me almost just say, Dave, why don't you just put those all together and I'll go fishing?
Sounds good. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Real appreciate you taking a little bit of time. We know you could be doing a lot of different things. The fact that you're here, it really does mean a lot to us. I know I say that each week because it's true, and it does not cease to be true. And looking forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.